Okay, we're here. I think we're good. I'm all over the place. Um, I'm just gonna get right into this because I feel like we just got to.
I love I love that, Mark.
This is honestly, I was thinking about this last night. So, if heat rises, why do we sleep under our comforters?
Why do we sleep under our comforters? Okay.
And I'll just let me continue because in the last couple days, I have a duvet on my bed and I have a comforter. And I don't.
That's how I know you haven't been here that long. Duvet is special for here.
I actually got that duvet's a long. What do you mean it's special for?
Like the saying duvet for your comforter.
No, I have a duvet and a comforter.
Okay, now we're going further now. That's some aristocrat type shit right there.
But you know it's a different thing.
A duvet, do you sleep under the duvet?
I normally did. Okay.
Comforter and duvet? So we're talking sheet, comforter, duvet. And we're talking about heat right now?
Okay,
I know why you're hot.
The elastic sheet, the fitted one that goes on the mattress.
The elastic sheet fitted goes on mattress. That's the first layer.
Then I have a sheet.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, I don't sleep under the sheet. I always leave the sheet on top.
Every day I know you, it gets just a little bit more interesting.
This is a pet peeve of Amanda's because she sleeps under the sheet.
You have to you undress the bed. You sleep under
what I do
furthest sheet that you can sleep under.
Because after a couple days, I take the sheet off. So then it's like it keeps me from having to wash my laundry a lot. So I layer.
That's such a lazy move because you don't want to wash the elastic sheet.
Yes.
You don't
hate taking it off.
You hate taking it off. This is hilarious.
So I'll put a sheet on top and then I'll never sleep on the elastic sheet.
Does Amanda know that
she hates it?
And she knows that that's like a lazy quick move because you don't want to.
No. She.
That is hilarious.
She hates that. Even if we're sleeping in the same bed, I'll sleep on top of the sheet. Like, for some reason, I don't like this sheet, but that's besides the point. I have on my bed, like, I've had a duvet. It's actually my friend's that he forgot to get back. Like, this is like, it's 10 years old, and it's a very old duvet, and I think it's pretty expensive for what it is, because it's, like, real, and he just never asked for it back.
What makes a duvet real?
The inside. Whatever.
So like whatever's inside there, insulating whatever's wrapped around makes it more expensive or not.
Yeah,
if
it's like
feathers are a vibe, or like the cotton that's like pressed together is a vibe. I've seen that too.
Yeah, they have I've seen because I've looked to get a new duvet, and they're like for real down filled duvets. And I think that's what it is. Down. It's down. I don't even know what down is. It's down filled.
It's down. They're down.
They're
down
just
with
down
you.
with it. Yeah.
They fuck with you. The duvet fucks with you hard. It's down for sure.
It's just down for whatever. It's been with me, man. That thing.
It's literally your ride or die. Especially because you're not washing the bottom sheet too.
It has been behind me for a long time. No, the down filled duvet. I think it's like it was.
Down comforter.
I'm pretty sure it was like $400. Like it was not cheap. And I hate putting the duvet cover on the duvet. A whole other thing. It's like worse than the elastic sheet on the bed. So, it's been pretty nice outside. Weather-wise, it hasn't been too hot or hasn't been too cold. So what I've been doing was I've been sleeping on top of the elastic sheet, on top of my sheet, on top of the duvet. And then I have like my comforter on top of me. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it's just 3 layers under you and then the comforter.
But I'll tell you what, I've never been more warm. That's what I'm wondering.
So you think you're getting insulated from the bottom up?
That's what I'm wondering. If heat rises, why don't we sleep on top of our comforters?
Heat rises, why don't we sleep on top?
That
was the original question.
That was the original. So now I'm wondering, would it be better to sleep on top of a comforter and then put a sheet on top so you don't get a draft? Because
that's crazy,
the heat comes up, right?
Think about what you're saying, though. It's just you're breaking all rules of like.
But who told us that we have to sleep under the comforter?
our moms and shit. Look at, there are times where even they make comforters that are supposed to cool you down. It doesn't do it. My body runs hot. Like if I'm warm at the middle of the night, I end up on top of everything, or everything's just off of me, right? Like in a separate spot. The most comfortable times I have are when I'm colder. Like when the room is colder, anyways. Sure. And I don't really think about it. It's not something, usually the selfish part of me is like, oh, I'm cold, I'm gonna go wrap up in bed and get warm. Yeah. After like an hour of that, I'm too warm.
You're done.
And then I need to sleep in the cold. It's some silly human being type shit. But that's like, for me, I can't even fathom not. If anything, I'm only using the top sheet. I'll cover the top sheet. Start with the top sheet in the comforter.
So you actually use the sheet?
Yes, man. Everyone uses the sheet. Mark, you're the only person who sleeps on top of the sheet. What do you mean I actually use it? Yeah, I do. Yeah. We all actually use the sheet, Mark.
I don't know about that.
I would love it. If we ever get enough people to follow this fucking thing, put a comment down there and say if you use the top sheet. I guarantee you they're using the sheet. Especially our female, the women who watch this, man. They're
I got to tell you, this is something that I've been doing for a long time. I actually saw that European people don't use the sheet.
What do you mean they don't use the sheet?
They just don't. See, I use it, but I don't go under it. They don't even have it on the bed.
They only have comforter.
They have the fitted sheet and then a comforter. They don't understand the point of the sheet.
Fitted sheet and comforter.
Which is pretty much what I'm doing, but with another layer, so I can just get rid of that one. And
it's weird though too out there because climate is just the temperature is so different in so many places. I feel like you're either cold or warm. Like it's.
But the sheet does not do anything. It actually tangles up more. Like I really.
It's a security thing, man. It's like.
But to me, a pillow is a security thing, or a comforter is a security thing. The sheet, like.
Have you ever had? Man, this is such an old memory. This brings me way back. In the summer, right? I didn't have air conditioning when I was growing up, pretty young. I got into high school, we got a little luxurious and we got some air conditioning. But growing up, I remember in a couple different houses, we either had a couple boxes set up in a couple rooms, so they were cool, or like we never had central air or forced air, right, in the house. I remember coming in from outside and being tired or playing and then like taking a shower, like getting ready, and my mom would line the couch in the living room with a fresh, crisp sheet. Now, she made it sound like, oh, honey, let me put this sheet out for you so you feel comfortable laying down on this really nice sheet. It was because we were fucking filthy-ass kids running in from outside.
Like animals.
Yeah, of course she didn't want us laying on the couch all fucked up, like snot all over the couch. Let me put this beautiful sheet.
Yeah.
But something about that, it just made me feel. It was like a security feeling, like, oh, my mom cared enough to put the sheet down. It feels so nice with the sheet on the couch or whatever. It's just so hilarious to think of it. Like, now that I'm older, I understand, like, she didn't want our dirty asses on that couch.
Yeah, for sure.
But when I was a kid, I always remember, like, my mom put a sheet down for me. It was so nice. It's so kind of her.
No, it is.
It's ridiculous, but.
So, it's official. We've sold out.
This is the first time back in the studio, I think, since we've merged with the sponsor, with Hen House. These guys are awesome dudes. It's been really cool getting to know them and doing some work on location, actually, in the restaurant. We are on episode 10 this week.
It's episode 10 with Liz Reaves, local comedian. And honestly, it was just such a fun time talking with her. And really, I was mentioning it a bit to her, and it's like, when I moved to Buffalo, I saw, just doing stand-up for a long time, you could really see people who have been in it for a long time or, newer comics or whatever. And everyone has different energies and presence on stage. And Liz always, like, from the first time I saw her, I was just like, yeah, like there is a Liz Reaves in every place I've been. And it's always like a killer comic, loved by all, and just all around, like, a great comedian.
I get the same vibes from Liz. Back when we were doing some Bubble Box stuff, you guys had mentioned how good she is at what she does. And, I was kind of freshly here trying to figure out what the hell we were going to creatively make of this whole conglomeration in Buffalo. And she is someone that really stood out in the mix of people that take their craft seriously. I feel like she's the type of person that takes everything she does seriously and puts love into everything she does. And that really stands out when you watch her do her set, do her comedy. It's really, really, really good. Her approach and delivery is incredible. And she's just a super nice person.
Yeah, we had an awesome conversation, and we were on location at our new sponsor, Hen House, in their flagship restaurant.
Awesome.
And I'm looking forward, first of all, to be doing interviews at the Hen House restaurant and hopefully starting some cool stuff there and,
Oh, yeah.
Collaborating with them in that sense. But let's get into the interview with Liz and see where we're at in Hen House.
All right, Liz.
All right, we are at Hen House, our brand new sponsor, with Buffalo comedian. And honestly, I'm so happy because we've worked together so many times in Buffalo. And, I love as a new comic, coming to the scene, not as a new comedian, but as a new scene. Like, I'm just getting right into this. Like, Liz, I saw you perform for the first time. I think it was at Helium, and just absolutely destroyed the show with ease. But I know that there's a lot going on in your head. But we're with Liz Reaves here, Buffalo comic, and just a killer person and comedian. So,
well, thank you.
How are you doing?
There's that Canadian already coming out. The generosity and kindness.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere. You know, it's every day I feel like I'm losing it a bit, but you meet people who want you to re-spark that niceness.
Exactly. At some point I do want to get to try to get you to say the word 3 and hope you say it tree.
No, I'm not a tree person.
Dang. All right, fair enough.
Is that Canadian, tree?
I think so.
I've
only ever heard it from people from Quebec.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. They have that thick Quebecois accent. They say tree. Yeah, no, that is because I was going to say anyone keep getting people giving us like thumbs up outside there. Yeah, no. So let's get into it, Liz. You are you're from Lockport.
No, gosh, don't put that kind of nose out
dating,
there. I date someone from Lockport.
The news to me is like watching people's acts is like how I kind of learn about them. So
Different
you're from
areas.
Buffalo?
Yeah. Well, originally from Elmira, New York, which is like 2 hours away. But I pretty much grew up here in Buffalo, and like live in Buffalo proper now.
Yeah. And did you start stand up in Buffalo?
I did 7 years ago. Like this October will be 7 years.
Oh wow.
I started at Milky's on Elmwood.
Yeah.
And my brother and I, we do birthday resolutions. So on your birthday, my brother will tell me something I have to do between that birthday and the next. And mine 7 years ago was to try stand up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you owe this all to your brother.
Well, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
I'm not going to lie. I really thought you were going to say you and your brother do like child parties. And I was like, where is this going?
We could probably pull it off. We could definitely pull it off.
So you got into it as a resolution. And then when you did Milky's, like you must have really loved it to want to do it again.
Yeah, I've never done hard drugs, but I feel like that's the euphoria you probably would get.
Yeah.
It felt amazing. Just to like, I don't know, have a command of a group of people. It was probably like 10 drunk people, but it felt really good and they laughed and I was like, whoa, wait a second.
What is this? Yeah.
This feels nice. And I've kind of been going for it ever
since.
So
you obviously knew you were going to do stand-up because that's why you were there. So what did you think material-wise? Like, were you like, I want to do what my friends think is funny? Did you have an idea of what a joke was? Were you telling stories?
I've always been a storyteller, even like not doing comedy. I've always, just been funny at telling stories.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to go up and just like tell weird stuff. And I talked about being a teenager and my two best friends at that time, just like the very strange things that we did that made no sense then or now. Yeah. But people found it funny and I was like, oh my goodness, just like my life is funny.
Yeah, there's something, this all makes sense now.
It's all coming together.
Yeah. Yeah. I always had that weird feeling with like stand up where I had all these weird scenarios, and then my life just really started to all of a sudden make sense when people were laughing at it. And I'm like, if I didn't find this, I might have gone crazy because it was like all in my head. And I always felt that people say that you do stand up to be the center of attention, and maybe there's some people that do it, but I always like doing stand up, and it took me a while to realize this because I felt like it completed my thoughts, you know?
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah.
You know, where you have this like experience when you were a kid, a teenager, and you're like, this is just floating around in my head, but when it's completed with a laugh, you're like, no, this all makes sense.
It reminds me of, have you ever seen or heard of those books where like it gives you like a line to like start something about your childhood, like, you know, write down your top 3 memories of the summer.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm like setting out to write new material or something, I kind of think along those lines of like, hold on a second, let me dredge back into my life.
Yeah,
and
let's go back in there and
pull
see what we can
something
pull
out.
out.
Yeah.
What traumatic experience I can make funny, you know?
Yeah.
Now, okay, so with material, do you have a formula that you try and follow? Do you hold yourself back from like thinking of certain topics? Are you like, whatever comes in my brain, this is what it is?
For the most part, I'd say I kind of dive in whatever feels good. I personally am someone who will never talk about politics, really. You know, there are some things that you can gauge where I lean probably, but I'm not getting full into politics. But otherwise, it honestly is my life, my work. It's very relatable, I think. That's why people enjoy it. So most of the time, it's just like thinking about what happened that week or something.
Yeah, I try and live by a motto of I'm not going to talk about anything I can't argue, you know? And if I had an outlook on politics, it would be in my way because I really don't want to get involved in it, especially in the States. Like politics is such a big thing compared to Canada where it's not like... To be honest, I'm so out of the loop with politics. It might be big in Canada too, but yeah, no, that's good that you have like that idea that you know obviously what you like. And has it changed over time, or did you always stay true to?
For sure. Right now, I am primarily talking about my job. I work as a teacher, so a lot of my material kind of revolves around that and the nonsense that ensues with small children on a daily basis. But I find it's, no matter what I'm doing, it's easy for people to relate it to their own lives, and I think that's why I'm able to like engage with people on stage and kind of make it feel like we're just laughing in my living room. Because it's like, oh yeah, my kid does that too, or oh yeah, my drunk aunt, yeah. So
that's the secret to like connect with them and then bring them into that comfort zone where you're all just hanging out and talking.
We all have sweatpants on and no one's wearing a bra. That's what I want.
Whatever is the most comfortable, that's where you got to be. Do you ever like work material out on the kids?
Oh gosh, if the children, I hope there is a point when they turn like 15, 16 where they're like, oh my God, she ran material on us all the time.
Yeah, she was. You don't need an open mic when you're performing in front of an audience every day.
It's beautiful. It's very clear that there's like a certain joke that will always work with kids, and it's literally just saying the word fart.
Oh yeah, that's classic.
We the other day talked about potty words, and the kids were like, you know, is it okay that we say this word? And you know, some people say it's bad, and I was like, fart, 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 fart. Let's do it.
Yeah, fart it up. Let's go. Yeah. And then they go home and then they're running around the house saying fart, and their mom's like, where did you hear this, Miss Reaves?
Teacher.
Yeah. No, that's so funny. Like I have like a really insane story about when I first started stand up. I don't want to get into the whole thing because it's kind of long, but I ended up doing stand up in front of what I was told was 24-year-olds. And I showed up and it was 24-year-old kids.
Oh my.
And it was, honest to God, like to this day, I like lose sleep over it. And I just think about that audience. And have you done shows in front of kids? Like paid shows?
Oh, yes. Yes, I actually did it like 2 or 3 summers ago. A family actually won a comedy show for me at like a school fundraiser. Oh, wow. And it was just in their backyard. And it was all the parents and all of the kids. So ranging from like I'd say like 7 or 8 years old up to like 12, 13. And at that time, most of the kids that were there were in my Girl Scout troop.
Oh man,
So
you're right. You're intertwined into the whole thing.
it was something. And basically I did fart jokes most of the time. And the other comic that I brought with me, I thought he was like gonna be clean, and he was, but there was this moment where I saw it in his eyes where he was like, I don't have anything else.
I'm gonna flip, yeah.
And he literally looked at the kids and was like, have you guys done drugs? And I was like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's when you have to get the big hook.
Yeah, big hook. We were using a karaoke machine also as the sound system, so I could have just unplugged it. But
played a song.
Kids gotta learn sooner or later. Yeah,
that's the thing, right? And so, you were a teacher before you got into stand-up?
Sort of. I was a teacher, then I stopped teaching, and I worked as a nanny. And I've just gotten back into teaching. Year of COVID, I thought it was the best time to return to the field. Yeah. No better time. I don't want the kids to see my face.
No, you're like, gotta get right in there, you know? And like, so when you did get into stand-up, was that a whole new experience to be on stage, or did you have any stage experience prior to that?
No stage experience. I've just been always very comfortable talking in front of people. If you would probably ask any of my teachers, like, I talk too much.
Yeah.
So it was never an issue for me to get up and talk. It was just the idea of, and it's very hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of like someone paying money to come hear me talk on a stage. It's like, we could have done this in the parking lot.
Yeah,
like, you didn't have to pay for this, but please pay for it.
Yeah, please. Maximum dollars. All currencies.
All of the money.
No, it never makes sense to me. Like when I'm like sitting at a comedy show and I'm like, these people paid to laugh.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because most comics I know have almost the worst sense of humor, and it's like either the fart jokes or they don't laugh at anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like an old Seinfeld quote that I heard a long time ago, and he was like, you have this idea for a joke that you're dying of laughter, and you do it on stage and it dies, doesn't get any laughs, and you're like, I don't understand, that was so funny. But then you have a thought that you don't laugh at, and you're like, oh, whatever, this is like a back burner thought, and you do that, and that becomes your closing joke. It just kills. And the way Seinfeld explained it was like, as comedians, we know what's funny, and we have a very specific sense of humor, which is not anyone who's paying for comedy, right? So the stuff that we would laugh at as comics is not, like, we're not, maybe you pay to see a comic, but we're more on the performing side than being in the audience. And it will never process to me in my brain. And that all being said, there are a lot of great shows in Buffalo. Where do you perform regularly, or you have a home club out here?
Home club is Helium Comedy Club. What? Definitely there. It's one of my favorite places to be. It's fantastic. I hold it in high regard. Locally, Good Bar on Elmwood. Milky's does some shows. Honestly, they're all over the place. There's so many shows popping up. There's literally some in a basement, and they're doing it. They're doing it. Basically, if there's a corner that's available, and you don't even have to throw a microphone there.
No mic, no lights.
Just let's do it.
Give me a corner.
Exactly.
And it's funny because I think the last show I did with you, it was at the Lafayette Brewery, and which I think is closed now.
Yes, it's shut down.
It's
we shut it down.
Talk about it. It's now closed
Sorry,
down.
Hen House.
Typically, I will say anywhere that I've ever done a show when I started in Toronto closed in the next year.
Oh, wow.
I felt like comedy was always like the kiss of death. They're like, look, we're closing. We got to try something,
Let's
and hopefully
just do
it
whatever.
works. But no, it's true. Like it is like you. There's a lot of great shows popping up, and people are really, like, since I've moved here, I feel like the shows have multiplied by 10,
for sure.
You know, like the amount of shows.
I don't think there's a single night like that you can't find comedy somewhere.
Yeah, no.
Whether it's an open mic or an actual show or anything, it's fantastic.
Well, that's great. I want to just say thank you again for coming out. I hope we had a good
course,
time. I had fun. We had a good tight set here. We're at our brand new sponsor, Hen House on Hurdle.
Cluck, cluck.
And thank you very much. And Liz, I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye. There's no thing. It's fresh. It's precious.
Dude, Liz is the best.
Yeah, no, honestly, great comic, great person. So happy that we were able to have that interview. I felt bad because she had to wait a couple minutes for us, but I think it came out pretty good at the end of it all.
Super sweet.
Oh yeah.
How was your week? What the fuck is going on?
Honestly, man, it's been it's just I'm in like a routine again and I hate it. Same shit every day, and it's like,
Let's shake it up. What do you want to do something different this week? I'll take you somewhere. Let's do something weird. Oh, I know what you love. Bowling. You want to go bowling, Mark? We could wear some Band-Aids.
oh man, yeah, no. To be honest, I really do not like bowling. It's one of those things that just seems like it'd be so much easier than it is.
If you at all have any type of phobia to being dirty or whatever,
Oh yeah,
that's the breeding ground.
yeah, mine. Yeah,
You know this already. It's gross in there. And what's funny is my whole family grew up in and out of bowling alleys. My uncle
Really?
Angelo, we called him the Silver Fox. He grew up in a bowling alley in Buffalo. I think it was Kenmore Lanes, actually.
oh wow.
My dad may correct me when he sees this, but they grew up there all the time. And the talk of cigarettes and food they used to eat full meals at the bowling alley.
Yeah,
it was
for-
hilarious. Like,
No, it was like a thing, and like in Canada, I don't know, I'm sure that this being so close to the border, but like, Canada has 5-pin bowling.
yeah, I can't. That's not bowling. That's a special game that you guys have, mini bowling or something.
No, it is.
It's not real bowling.
It's bowling, and then I remember it was like a thing to go to 10-pin bowling.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It was crazier to do 10-pin bowling than the 5-pin.
10-pin bowling was like you had to go to certain places to go
What?
10-pin bowling.
Isn't 5-pin bowling with a
a small
smaller
ball.
ball?
Yeah, it's
What
a
the
small
fuck is
ball,
that?
and then there's like 5 pins.
Ah, that is
or
so
whatever.
weird. That's a carnival game. That's not bowling.
Yeah, it's very similar to whatever it's called,
Skeet?
skeeter
Ski
ball,
ball?
or whatever, ski ball.
Ski.
But no, there's still some 5-pin bowl. Like, see, to me, 5-pin bowling is, it's more of like you can go and hang out and just kind of throw balls down the thing.
Yeah.
Because in Toronto, at least now, I can't speak for every bowling alley, but there's like, I think 1 or 2 like mom and pop shop bowling alleys still, and they're like 6 lanes, 5-pin.
First of all, I missed that. Second of all, they're few and far between where you find one that is clean, like
Yeah.
one that you feel like okay to go to. We used to have one up on Transit Road. We would fuck this place up though. It was disgusting. Like graffiti all over the bathroom,
Oh, yeah.
nasty shit in the bathroom.
Did everyone go there? Like everyone from your high
after
school?
from a high school, everyone would go
Wow.
there. Everyone would be fucked up and then go to this bowling. We'd have rock and bowl on Friday nights where they shut the lights off, everything's neon, and someone's huffing nitrous in a bathroom
See,
somewhere.
I never experienced any of this. Like, no one hung out like that other than at malls.
See, that was weird for us. We didn't do the mall thing.
Yeah.
We didn't do the mall thing. And honestly, I really think it was a generation and where we're at. Like where I grew up was partial city kids, partial suburb kids. A lot of the times the suburb kids wanted to be naughty and go down to the city.
Yeah.
And it was like a big deal to go to the city to some house party like in the city of Buffalo. And then what was normally happening is everyone's going to some rich kid's basement out in the burbs and drinking wine coolers, playing hide and find your daughter until fucking 3 a.m, And I remember this being like a very normal thing and having anxiety for both. And forget about it. When everyone started getting their license or their interim license to split from the house, like whenever
Yeah.
they wanted to, that was the whole thing. Who's going with who to the party tonight? Who's driving so that other people can drink?
Every
and
time you talk about this, I imagine like different movies that I've watched.
I know it's
'Cause it
very
sounds-
dazed and confused, but
it sounds exactly like there's
Yeah.
like 4 people in a car and
There
you're
was.
driving.
it's so fun,
And
man.
it's like someone's drinking in the back or something.
There's such a reason why that those movies exist, right? And it's literally because that's what the fuck was going down. Like
Yeah.
these are memories people have that are their fondest memories. They're in their mom's Saturn wagon drinking a 6, it's Labatt Blues, and then all of a sudden we're getting pulled over. The next 3 years of our lives just changed.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that happened to us in high school where like one after another, someone went down for some
That's
weird
crazy.
driving situation or it's a DUI or caught with weed or caught with drinking or whatever. It was hilarious.
Yeah, that is completely like my high school was not like that at all. And we used to play as
I can't imagine it being a different way. That's so interesting to me.
well, it was like my school, people would go to the mall. There was a couple malls that we would go to, either Woodside, which was right beside my mall, Scarborough Town
Mall.
Center. And those were the two main malls that, you would run into people. And then in Scarborough Town Center or Fairview Mall, there was like an arcade that used to be there, and they would have the Jitoni tables, the soccer tables.
Okay, well, keep going.
And like
keep going.
there was time, like the mall was always like after school, everyone went to Woodside. It was like a 2-minute walk from my thing. And then the bus would go to Scarborough Town Center, which was about 20 minutes away on bus. So then we'd see everybody there.
You say 20 minutes away on bus?
Yeah,
I
on
like
a
that.
bus. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. On 20 minutes away on a bus. And then Fairview was on the other side, but that was a different mall, and they had two different type of
So are you saying like, could you walk to the mall from your school?
Woodside. So the one that was a walk, that's where everyone went at lunch, during class. If you're skipping, everyone went there.
You being here, as long as you have, you now probably know, maybe you don't. None of the malls are located, first of all, within walking distance of any school. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second of all, they're all on like major highways or big major
Yeah.
streets. Like there's no school involved, right?
Yeah.
So the hang would not be like, let's get out and go to the mall. Like that was a weird vibe. Like you went to the mall for a couple reasons. Whether it was someone's bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah, it was someo's confirmation. So you have your Jewish friends, you have your Catholic friends, and,
were, like,
or
all
someone
about
dies.
malls. Yeah,
Someone
no.
dies. And then there was a couple times where like, maybe you wanted to go to Zoomies. Or Zoomies or
Yeah.
Pac Sun, right? Because you wanted or Hot Topic because you wanted a poster or some band T-shirt. Then you made an event. 4 of us are getting in some older brother or sister's car, getting high as shit, going to Boulevard or at the time McKinley Mall, which was a super throwback, and just running amok, straight up food court, taking all the free samples at the food court, but not paying for any food. Busting in through these stores, being high as shit. I mean, that was like a thing, but it was never like an after-school hang. It was like an event.
Man,
we planned that.
I was a massive mall rat. Like you don't
Really?
understand. You don't like me and my friends.
That reminds me of a movie.
Mall
That
rats.
more is 80s than
That's
than
a
like,
movie's mall rat.
Yeah, I've heard of. Yeah. I was going to talk about Jitoni, but it's far less cool than what I'm about to ask right now.
Jitoni is foosball, as people call it here. I don't know. I grew up calling
it's foosball. They grew up calling it Jitoni.
No, it's
What the fuck? That's just some guy named Anthony's last name. That's all that is, dude.
So
What the
Jitoni,
fuck?
this is my understanding. I never knew foosball until I was maybe like after college. I always knew it as Jitoni or Jits for short.
Jits?
Jits, yeah.
Dude, this is so
So
rough.
I grew up calling it Jitoni, and then in my high school, everyone called it Jits. And then I always thought foosball was 3 goalies and the bars come out on the other side. So do you know the table that the bars come out on the other side? Those aren't not real tables. So I always heard that that's called foosball. So it's like a fun thing that you're like.
So you're saying Jitoni, the bars don't come out on the other side?
In Jitoni, in like a tournament table, like an official table, the bar goes in on itself. So you know how like you can move the bars? They don't even come out on the other side.
Whoa.
So
I kind of like that,
on
dude.
your side, there's only like 4 or 5 bars.
I can't tell you how many there's been travesties with those.
Oh, and
many.
So that's what I always heard later in life foosball was, where it's like you go to like a Home Depot or whatever and buy one, or wherever they sell them.
You guys are ripping on us for foosball is hilarious. You're taking it more serious than we are, Tony Jitoni over here.
I was in a tournament.
You were in a Jitoni tournament?
Me and this there's this Korean guy from Germany. This is like out of a movie.
There's no racist joke that can even deal with this situation
No, this
right now.
guy was like heavy heavy Korean accent, but spoke fluent German. This is a crazy thing.
That's hilarious.
So I'm at a bar before a show. This is years ago in Toronto. I think I even have a picture of this somewhere. I'm at a bar in Toronto, and they had a Jitoni tournament, okay, at this bar. And it was like a cash prize, and you come back next week and whatever. So there's this guy, and he's like this, like, you know, like little Asian guy, and he's trying to enter the tournament, and he's asking everybody to be his partner. And nobody wants to be his partner.
Of course, you were you.
And I'm like, look, man, you want to play? I'll play with you. And he's like, really? You want to play with me? And I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, I'm like, just so you know, I play back. He's like, that's perfect. I play forward. And I'm like, this is perfect. We destroyed this tournament.
I love that, dude.
I don't even think someone scored a goal on us, because the thing is, I'm going to tell you, I'm amazing. And this guy, I found out, was on the German national team. And he was visiting in Toronto.
Being amazing at Jitoni is like being
It's
the smartest kid with autism.
It is one of my
like,
useless flaws,
that's
like my
crazy, dude.
useless talents.
Dude, this is so funny. My dad, he won't stop watching. All he watches is Gunsmoke and other spaghetti westerns, all this shit. So I always make fun of him. There'll be like a huge, a big part of those movies is like, what tribe of Indians is like threatening the cowboys or something at this time or whatever. And most of them are Comanches, right? So every movie's like, oh, the Comanches are up ahead, blah, blah. So I just start like replacing all names with Italian dudes like me and him may know.
Yeah.
So I had literally, it was like this Runs with Wolves or something. This one chief, I was like, oh, that's Runs with Cannoli. He's in the back with Little Pepper. And then down here's and he couldn't stop laughing. I went on for like a half hour just replacing names with a couple Goombas, and we were just crying. Like, Runs with Cannoli is my favorite.
Runs with Cannolis is a hilarious, like,
such a good Dom
name.
DeLuise like spaghetti western parody. You know, like
Runs with Cannolis. Here's you're really making me think about some stuff here. Do you know that this is how hilarious America is? Do you know that cowboys were only around for like 10, 15 years? And they are still like relevant they're
still like a huge part of what our history is. Like
a big part of American history.
You know what? I didn't know that.
There was like
I didn't know that. That's very, very interesting. I can't wait to have a conversation with a certain someone I know this evening. Rock, Jesus.
There was a period between, I guess, the Wild West. Like that whole idea of like, cowboys coming into town with like guns and robbing and chasing trains and all that.
Yeah.
That, from my understanding, is maybe 7 years.
That's crazy. I would have never.
Yeah.
You think there's a whole big chunk of time there.
Yeah, you would think it's like a major part of history.
It's like what it is. You know what? I want like, what's the difference in time between like Columbus and cowboys? Do you know what I mean? Because there's a chunk of time that has nothing to do with cowboys.
Well, here's the thing that's weird. Like, I think like cowboys were around like 1890.
That's later, right? Like that's Columbus. We're talking 1772.
But if you think about the idea
right?
of cowboys, and this is how I think I
I'm
found
gonna
this.
get slayed for dates. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not.
But I think like cowboys were around like if you think about that, like 1890 is like 130 years. That's not even a long time.
I remember from like cowboy movies hearing dates like going as far back as I heard is like 1875, 1880. Like that.
Yeah, but that's
time,
like not even that long ago. If you think about it,
it's really not. But in terms of like
what's happened,
what the hell happened? You know what I mean? Because 100 years before that, we're talking Columbus.
Yeah, and
you know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. Like when you think about it, it's like 100 years.
That's a long time.
It is, but it's like
I guess in the scheme of like creation or whatever everyone thinks creation is,
but really, like
not a long
nothing
time,
really started happening to the 1900s.
As far as in industry, right, or as far as like moving of shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess it would be hard to know because of recording, right?
Yeah.
But there had to be movement before that. People were definitely moving around.
Yeah, I think it was like
for way before that, right?
Yeah,
But
everyone's like wandering around,
but like
lost.
The first versions of like hearing about, this is going to be hard to explain, but the first versions of hearing about someone somewhere and then knowing about someone else further away. Like how would that's mail by horse, right? Like that's the only way that was going down. So I think years went by before there was any type of like long-term even knowledge of where people were. Like there's just land out there that they're like, well, there's land out there.
It's terrifying.
Don't know who's there, but there maybe we could get out there. You know what I mean?
But did they even know that there was land out there?
I mean, how did they know if they did? You know, like
I thought that was like the whole thing of like conquering, right? Where they never knew what was on the other side of the ocean. Or
well, as like simple as it gets, it's like we're somewhere that we're no longer. Say we're somewhere where like the resources are drying up, or we're getting kicked out, or whatever it is. The people that came here are stronger than us. We have to leave. The guess would be like we're just going further to where we haven't been.
Right.
We're
just gonna keep moving.
We're just gonna keep it going, right? So you would think that. I mean, it's so obvious, but pretty interesting to say that you'd think that America is like that's how it was found. I mean, people just had to move further west, right? And then just hope there was some habitable land or resources.
Well,
like,
you know, Italy is this. It's like 100 years old.
Yeah,
it's like 100, 150.
Pretty young.
Yeah, like as Italy,
yeah.
It's kind of weird, like all this stuff, and you think about that. Like I always think about that, where it's like, did they not know? Like, oh, let's just get, because people had to have lived there, but yeah, they just took it over.
That's
Obviously,
what I'm saying.
That's
it's
what
like,
history tells us.
That's what it is, right? And then
Yeah.
there's other places where like this is the other interesting part of this. I mean, I could talk about history and like wonder about what happened or why for forever. But what are the countries or the places that are the most peaceful in our world now? I think the number one is Sweden. It's always said, right? Sweden or Norway or one of these, whatever. Why is that? Like, why did this place? And it's probably because whoever first settled on this area, they were stoked with it. They were able to keep it the way it was. No one else, for some reason, felt like it was a threat because these people probably made it sufficient for themselves, right? Maybe I don't know too much history. I know that there was some type of threat on Sweden back in the day. It wasn't crazy, but it was resolved somehow. Like, and they still remain like one of the safest places in the world. I wonder how that goes down, because there's very few places in the world that aren't like stricken by crazy weather, coldness, or hot, that are like not taken by someone else in history.
Canada has like I think the largest fresh water supply in the world.
Okay, that makes sense too. It's such a vast country that people don't understand. I mean,
yeah, and that's like the whole thing that's happening behind the scenes, because apparently like Canada has, I think it has the number one fresh water. Like there's nowhere else in the world that has more fresh water than Canada.
That makes a lot of sense, especially with you guys have got to have different farming laws than we do, for sure.
Yeah, we have different. Do you know how happy I don't?
Go ahead, Mark. Fucking say it, dude. Say it, dude. Say it out loud with your chest, dude. Get it off your chest.
There are different farming laws.
That was really sweet. So you would think like, so I say that to say this: water, okay? Industrial farming in our country's fucked. It's completely fucked. It's changed, I would assume, life expectancy. Like literally, if we're going from being dramatic about it, right? Chemicals, a lot of farms, a lot of chemicals. Obviously, our water is affected by this, right? It's an obvious thing. There are places in the Midwest we're talking about that. What was the huge one right now? With for the years, it's been
the Michigan,
right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're like literally. I mean, it's like real. It's got to be that water is different in other places that have different laws with farming and pesticides and all that shit. And just being able to get water, like spring water, is like that. It's hilarious to say this. That's the rave now, like in the States. Like,
do you know what I never in my life will ever believe? That New York has the cleanest water. I do not believe for a second that Manhattan has the cleanest water.
Really it's so weird to think of it like that. There's no way.
It's disgusting, because like I believe that they just pay it off to make it seem like they have the cleanest water supply. I do not, knowing like I just don't believe it for that densely populated place.
I agree too. I mean, I remember for a while we had this thing, we made fun of it, but you know, my apartment was near a lot of project buildings. My friends called it project heat. like our hot water was not regular hot water. It was fucking scalding, like a different type of hot. And the cold was the same. Like the cold was weird cold.
Yeah.
But you never could catch that lukewarm or in the middle.
Yeah.
It was either one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that the water in New York City or in New York in general can't be clean. This is the other thing I want to talk about with water in general. This whole bottled water thing from like the last 10 years, when we were kids, like obviously there was a thing. My dad would say out loud, no, we got the best tap water in the United States. We drink our tap water. We would put the tap water in a pitcher and put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Like normal shit when we were kids, you know? And then the cold, since it was cold, that's bacteria can't live in that cold, you know? Bullshit, right? Then shortly after that, it was like, okay, it's bottled water. We all do bottled water. And even the stuff that had the added electrolytes or added whatever, minerals for taste, there was a time smart water, it was a smart idea to get smart water. We thought that was a normal thing. Ionized water. Yeah. That was the fad. And then it turned slowly into the one with the E or whatever, whatever. There's so many of them. And that was like the big thing. Now everyone's doing these at-home pH tests. And they do them, I don't know if you've seen it, with like acidity tests, right?
Okay.
They line up all the bottles of water, like Aquafina, Smart Water, Poland Spring, Voss, Fiji.
Yeah.
They line them all up. The most acidic ones were the ones that they were telling us that were the healthiest for us this last 10 years. They show up the most acidic, and the ones that are the healthiest are the ones that have always been the cheapest, have been the most normal. They get them just from, it's just a spring, Poland Spring. It remains the cleanest out of all of them. Out of all of them.
Even better than Fiji?
Fiji.
Evian?
Evian and Poland Spring, I think, tied in this video that I saw for the acid base tests, which you don't want any type of acid in your water. You want it to be as basic as it can. I know that like one
of the big things about bottled water is that, and this is where Fiji and Evian I think are different, is that there's no magnesium in the water. So when you look at all of these other waters like Poland Spring, the obviously Aquafina, which is the worst,
Pepsi or Coca-Cola,
yeah, it literally terrible. Like releases air when you open it, but they don't have any minerals in them.
Okay, this woman went as far as saying you don't understand. Like you need water that's like
good, like it has stuff in it.
It has the things in it that like you need from water.
Yeah.
Like our bodies are tested. Like we know why we need water. It's not just water's healthy for us. No, there's things it does, and there's minerals in it that help us a certain way, right? Obviously hydration is one of them, but there's a lot of other shit too. And she literally goes to say there are water, Aquafina was the biggest example. There are waters that are literally killing you. Like this is
They're
not
making you more,
they don't hydrate you, and they take all the things that water is supposed to give you and they suck it out of your body.
And
it's the worst. It's like,
that's the thing. Like years ago I started like hearing about all this, and I bought like a stick with rocks in it. My cousin had this thing,
that good old rock stick,
and it had like it looked like a pole with holes in it, and it had minerals inside. And then what you do is you have your glass of water, you put it in the water, and you let it sit there for like 5 minutes, and then you take it out. And I'm telling you, it changed the taste of the water.
It sucked the shit out.
It added minerals to the water.
It added minerals into the water. It doesn't like pull stuff into it.
No. It adds, because from my understanding, because if you look at the ingredients on all water bottles, this is why, like for me, I really only have, if I buy a water bottle, it's Evian or Fiji. And it's because it's the only one that has like magnesium and other stuff in it.
I have a really good friend of mine. His name's David Fraser Jr., one of the best drummers I know in the whole world. I lived with him for a very long time. And we had this little cute friendship thing that we did together. We were in like 4 or 5 bands together at the same time. And when you're in that many groups, you have a shitload of rehearsal. So we would do this thing where we'd stop at a place to get water for us for rehearsal. But every time we'd stop, it'd have to be some type of really obscure, expensive, big water. Right. So I'll never forget the day this happened. He surprised me. We were driving to rehearsal. We stopped to get gas. He goes, I got it this time. He comes in the car, 2 just massive Fijis. I looked at him and was like, whoa, this is $12 worth of water here, big man. Like, this is what, and he just goes, I got you, bro. Like, I got you. So without question, now I'm like, okay, this is now the bar
living
for
the
where
high
water
life,
is. I can't now stop with David and get a little Polaroid Poland Spring bottle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he set a bar.
So everywhere we go, and I'm like, we'd be the next one. I'd just get this massive Evian, 2 big Evians, and he'd look at me and just go, oh, all right, that's what's up. And we'd try to one-up each other on the water every time. Finally, I started doing this, hearing about like normal water shit, and it became the luxury to just get the massive Poland Spring. So everywhere we go, it'd be like, no, Fiji, we're good. Like, I'm good with the Poland Spring. And we would both nod in agreement. Yeah, we've been watching all the water shit. Poland Spring's the best. It's just been so funny, like that, the progression of that. Like,
that's
fucking water, dude.
It's the thing is, at the end of the day, like, we really don't know, like, without it being like a scientific test. But when you look at the ingredients, that's the thing that I started doing, like, because you're like, why should there be ingredients in water? But there are. And then you look at it, and then it's like, and I'm telling you, if you look at the back of all the water bottles, you're going to see 0 across everything. And that's what someone was explaining, exactly what you said, where it sucks stuff out of your body, which is that's problem.
The thing too. The other thing too that I was really in. I still really am. I love seltzer water, or like club soda, seltzer water, sparkling water. Like I love that. I had a friend of mine got me into it in New York a lot. There's like a lot of different brands I didn't know of. One of them was this Hales. Have you heard of Hales? Hales is a New York City thing. I think it started in New York City, but what I didn't know for the longest time, any seltzer water I get, I would just assume that it was just zeros across the board in carbonation. A lot of them have sodium in them. So I didn't know this. So now you're drinking the seltzer water,
salt water,
and getting literally thirsty after you're drinking. I'd be like, why? I got this to quench something. Like, and there's salt, literally salt in the seltzer water.
That's the thing. Anything in a thing, it's like a chain reaction.
It's crazy,
like,
dude.
You know, because it's like the whole conspiracy that, like, you go to a restaurant to give you bread and all that stuff, and then it like
spikes your shit.
It does more, this and then, and it's like anything that you buy in a store. It's like there's something about it, and that's why, like, I really, it's been harder in the recent years for me to go out or to buy a lot of stuff, because I'm like, there's no point. Like, it does maybe crave like a thing for 5 minutes, but then you get hungrier after, you get thirsty, you get a headache.
Yeah,
or
not to mention our big brother inflation that we're dealing with.
Well, that's
right
a whole
now.
other
It's like, why
thing.
am I going to pay $40 for a steak now?
Well, yeah,
if I'm going to go out, get sick, and spend $80.
Yeah, that I think we'll save for another day. All right, I think there is one thing we've been here, I think, for about 50 minutes. There's one thing that I don't even know if it's going to make sense, but it's something that is a visual. And let me ask you a question.
Okay.
When you have a laptop,
I thought you were going to like say go to the bathroom again.
No.
And I was going to die, dude.
One more
bathroom
when
scenario.
you go to the bathroom, no.
Yeah.
On your computer, on your laptop specifically.
Okay.
You know how there's the scroll goes up and down on the screen?
We all do that.
So do you scroll down for the screen to go down, or do you scroll up for it to go down?
I hate this. Okay. Normally, I would be making fun of you for asking such a ridiculously mundane question.
Yes.
But now there's two ways. There's 2 ways I go about this, and both of them annoy me at certain times. There's mice.
This is the trackpad. Specifically the trackpad.
All right, so now,
or whatever that square thing is.
The trackpad for sure. If I'm using the trackpad, I go with the direction that I'm meaning to go. So if I have to go down, I take the mouse, I go over to the bar, and I bring it down. I'm moving it down. I'm going down with the down, right, and up with the up. But if I'm ever on a computer with a mouse, a lot of the time they have that scroll thing.
The wheel.
If you've noticed, if you move too quick and like fake out the computer, if you scroll up, it's going down, depending on what thing.
No, you see, that's not a fake out. That's how it's set up.
Shut up.
Okay, because
you're blowing my shit right now.
No, because when you have,
so it intuitively like it thinks it should. They programmed it.
They programmed the trackpad that when you swipe up on the trackpad,
it goes down.
It goes down. And I have no idea, because like my wife, she can't use my computer because she gets confused with the trackpad, because when she scrolls down on the trackpad, the screen goes up. And I'm like, No. When she scrolls down, it goes down.
Oh, did you?
I changed it to do that.
You could change it.
Yes, you can.
Dude, that's insane.
Because I don't understand why it's when you scroll down on the trackpad, how it makes sense that it goes up.
So it makes no
question
is why, to the creator of that.
Yeah, why?
Why was that normal? Like what sprung that idea? Like why?
I don't think this is a left-right brain thing. I don't understand why when you scroll down,
why it would make sense.
It goes up. I don't I've thought about it.
Probably because when it goes up, it's going further down the page. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you are going further down, but the page is moving up.
The page is moving up.
But you're going further down in information. You're getting to more of the info, which is down.
That's way too deep for a scroll.
I know it's deep, but it's real though. Like if you really,
but that's what I'm saying.
Logically,
do you think that's what it is? Because
I think that's what was coded into the machine when they told the guy, "Hey, we got to figure out how to move this screen."
So you're saying that if you're at the top of the screen,
yeah,
and you scroll up on the mouse pad, up on the trackpad, and the screen starts going down, that logically makes sense to you?
Well, you're scrolling up to move the bar up, right? Like the bar, not like, or if you have two fingers on, you're right on the thing, right? So you're scrolling up.
And then it goes down.
No, that doesn't work. The other way around makes more sense to me, though.
I don't get it.
When you're scrolling down, it goes up because the page is going up, right? But you're technically going further down into the literature on the page.
You're like, I want to go down.
Yeah, I want to go down. I want to go. So I gotta scroll up, like like.
But then if you scroll up,
that part of it, I can't refute. There's no argument there.
Well, I do, like, to me, it's my biggest pet peeve on a computer. Look, we got to say big shout out to our new sponsor. We got the Hen House. We want to say thank you to Hen House again. This is our second episode with them. We sat down, we talked to Liz, and we really talked about a bunch of stupid stuff.
I really think this is going to be a fun journey. These kids know a lot about where we're from, living and where I'm from, but where we're doing this situation right now. And, it's just been cool to bring people together in the community to show them like what we know about this and to see what they know and kind of like how do you say it, Mark? Sow the oats. That's what they say.
Oats.
Sow your oats. Sow your oats, Buffalo.
Sow your oats.